Good evening, and welcome to the Southeast Delco Board of School Directors Committee of the Whole, Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Dr. Sanchez. Committee reports, please.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Madam President. I'd like to start by first asking Dr. Ryan to come up. He's going to be presenting a number of items, including the special ed items.
Good evening. So under education, as I break the mic, the first item, we are asking the board to ratify. If you've been to ESC, there are a number of filing cabinets filled with active and inactive special ed files. We are intending to make those digital, one, so that we can advance into the 21st century and also free up some space at ESC. So that is education item number one. It is the same company that is doing the transcripts here at the high school. Education number two, an agreement with the DCIU. We have a student at an out-of-district placement who also requires English learner skills. That school does not provide those skills, so we are attempting to contract with the IU to provide that service at an out-of-district placement for a special ed kid. The third one is a new student going to Fairwald Academy. Number four in education is not really a change. The company that we use to provide some staffing has changed their name, which means they changed the agreement, which means we need to change the motion. So that's really just an update of the BlazerWorks name for number four. Moving over to the second page, there is an approval for a student to receive what's known as a PCA at their out-of-district placement. They need an additional level of service, so we are adding that to that student's education. Number six, you will see that the musical production for the spring is blank. The name of that production has been emailed to the board. It will appear on next week's agenda as a voting item. So if there are any issues with the selection, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can alert the musical staff. But that was emailed out about an hour, maybe an hour and a half ago, so that you have it. If you don't have that email, feel free to ask me afterwards so that I'm not caught on camera again naming it before I should. Jumping down to the non-agenda item, just the high school scheduling update. We are still at an 8-period day. Students will get 7 periods of classes. Teachers will teach 6 periods of classes because they get a lunch and a prep. Every period will be between 45 and 48 minutes. The reason for the 48 minutes is because of the lunch period. It will be slightly longer than the rest of the instructional periods. Right now, we are planning to offer all classes that were in the course selection guide last year, and then we will see what interest the kids have in all the classes. Those that have enough interest, we will offer. Those that don't have enough interest, like potentially some advanced placement courses, we will look at either cyber or dual enrollment solutions for those individual kids on an individual basis. But we really can't do that work until we know what kids are interested in and what they pick during the course selection process. The two big changes you'll see next month when we present the course selection guide for 25-26 will be the overall credit number is going to drop from 28 to 24. The main reason for this is because the 28 credit requirement was based on an advisory period years ago that was credited for kids. The advisory period has disappeared, but they kept the 28 level. So we're reducing that to account for the drop in advisory being an accredited course. The other issue is with a 7-period day for a kid, because the kids have to eat lunch too, they would have to have a full schedule all 4 years, and that is not quite possible with space and teachers and course offerings, so we're going to go to a 24 credit. In that mix, you'll see required courses and non-required courses, but I just wanted to give you a heads up before you vote next month, that overall course credit requirement is going to drop from what it currently is to what it will be requested to be pending board approval. The other big change you'll see is that most core classes will be 1 credit. That's the same now, but it does have an effect on electives. Most elective classes next year will be a half-credit course. The reason to make it a half-credit course is A, so that we can offer it as a semester base. You can take it in the fall, you can take it in the spring. But the other issue is that with the courses that are going to be required for kids, especially certain keystone, what we call keystone trigger courses, there won't be a whole lot of choice for kids for electives if we keep them at 1 credit. So rather than having, let's say, 6 core courses and 1 elective as a 9th grader, if we make them half-year credits and half-credit electives, the kids can get 2 choices of electives instead of 1. So we thought that choice for kids was important, especially for elective, and especially if we're going to require them to take certain courses that, at least in the beginning years of their high school career, are going to eat up a lot of their credits for 9th and 10th grade. It gets a little bit easier as they go into 11th and 12th. So the course selection guide will be presented next month, and that is it for me right now.
Dr. Ryan, I just
Yep.
want to make sure that the 28 credit requirement for graduation is dropped to 24, and that would be for the 25-26 school year?
Yes, it does not affect anything for this school year.
Okay, thank you.
Are you talking about number 9? I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the
Non-agenda
non-agenda item right now.
Okay, because I do, are you finished, Madam President?
Yes, Ms. Perry had a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ms. Perry, go ahead.
So right now, the question was, is there the same amount of lunch periods offered? Right now, there are the same amount of lunch periods offered. Part of that is due to timing. We don't want kids eating lunch at 9:30 or at 2 o'clock right before they go out the door. Part of that is employee-wise of when our cafeteria workers can work during the day. But the short answer right now is that it's the same amount of lunch periods as is currently offered this year.
Dr. Ryan, I have a question.
I'm sorry, Ms. Barr, I know Ms. Woodfolk had waited for Ms. Perry.
I'm sorry.
You did it on purpose. I have a question on number 9. He didn't go through number 9?
No, I did up to 6, and then the non-agenda item.
Okay, when you go through number 9, then I ask the question.
I'll let them know.
Ms. Barley?
Dr. Ryan, I was wondering if we had thought about in our course selection guide and, the mandatory classes that the kids have to take, have we discussed and thought about making languages mandatory as opposed to an elective?
We had a discussion about that. We haven't made them mandatory, so we did look up the language from the state. It is recommended, not required from the state. You're saying about foreign languages, right? Just want to make sure I'm answering the right thing. So we did have a discussion about that. So we've made no final decision. The discussion centered around if we do make language mandatory, and I'm just using as an example, they have to take Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. Does it take away from choices of other electives? Because again, if you're mandating these 6 courses and you only have 1 elective left, is it a then forced elective? And we do have some forced electives in the course catalog, financial literacy, and school to career. So it was a discussion around, do we want to again force an elective, which we at this point are saying no. The other real issue is the offerings of languages themselves. So we have been lucky over the years of being able to offer face-to-face Spanish instruction. Previously, we had a French teacher and could offer face-to-face French instruction. When that teacher left, we could not find a replacement. So you kind of get worried about, I'm building this program, but I can't deliver it because you need a certified teacher. That led us to go to the language lab because the company that we contract with carries the highly qualified and certification status for the teacher. But we are hearing from kids and from teachers that they like the face-to-face instruction more than the language lab online, which we can understand. So we're kind of solving one problem but creating another. We haven't gone as far as mandating it. If that's something that the board wants us to look at, we can do, but we will have to solve some of the problems that causes, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Ms. Perry?
So I have a follow-up question to Ms. Barley's question. It's not about foreign language, but about electives. I believe we do have one or two classes that we call electives that are mandatory. I think one is financial literacy. So what are the current mandatory electives, and will they be mandatory when we go to the 8-block or the 8-period schedule?
Right, so right now, the two, what we call forced electives, mandatory electives, whatever you want to call them, are school to career and financial literacy. Kids also have to take a gym and a health, but we have those as electives anyway, and you can take more than one gym. You can't really take more than one health. So financial literacy, school to career, and gym and health will be the so-called forced electives. Was there a second part to that I didn't answer?
So are they staying mandatory, and then I guess will they all be half credits then?
They are staying mandatory, and they are all half credit. I will double check that on my course selection edits, but we did talk about that as well, of should financial literacy or school to career be full credits. But again, these are 11th grade courses. If you have mandatory 11th grade courses and now 2 forced electives, you are really taking away from student choice when it comes to building their own schedule around elective courses. And at some point, you may get to the point of, why are we choosing if 22 of their 24 credits are mandatory anyway, if that makes sense. But right now, they should be slated to be half credit mandatory courses or forced electives.
So have we ever looked into adjusting our curriculum where financial literacy is built into several years of classes, maybe in math, instead of just being here's a quick half-a-year class just to meet the requirement? Because, I mean, financial literacy, if you're just getting it for a couple months in 1 year, you're not really learning financial literacy. So I just think, I think maybe we should look into integrating it into our math curriculum, maybe even starting in middle school.
And again, if that's a board directive, we can take a look at that. I will tell you that the existence of financial literacy was a board directive years ago, that they wanted a standalone class and not have it embedded, but both are technically possible.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ryan. Dr. Lowry?
Wait a minute, I thought he was gonna go over number 9.
Dr. Lowry is going to be doing the last
Oh,
three
Doctor,
items.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes.
Just to continue just to piggyback on Dr. Ryan, the state of Pennsylvania is also implementing financial literacy requirements, which are embedded in PA code. So that's something that we have to take a look at as well. Just back to Ms. Perry's commentary there. There's certain stipulations that are coming down. Dr. Ryan, is it 26, 27, I think?
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, that state explicitly what every Commonwealth school must offer in high school for financial literacy. So it's kind of cool that we're a little bit ahead of the game, that we have a financial literacy course, but we will obviously look to ensure that we are in the spirit of the law as that comes down.
26, 27, I believe.
26, 27? So just a couple quick things. We have a few field trips. Number 7 on the agenda is really forward-looking for Academy Park High School, 2 out-of-state trips that require board approval. One is the senior class suggested trip to Morey's Pier in Wildwood, New Jersey. And the second, as of now, trip that is being scheduled out of state is a recommendation for 12th grade literacy students to go to the Medieval Times in Hanover, Maryland. Number 8, I provided an updated list to all board members of recommended field trip adjustments and additions. The addition is in red, the Brandywine River Museum of Art, and the modification is on the second page on the back. It's adding the Xfinity Complex to Wells Fargo Center as an approved location. Academy Park High School would like to participate in the upcoming it's called the, sorry, I'm just pulling up my stuff here. The Camp Out for Hunger, sorry. And the school here will be participating in acts of service, and the school would like to visit the Xfinity Complex on the day of the event so that the donations can be provided in person to the Camp Out for Hunger. Next up is the agreement with Reed Alliance, which is number 9. Reed Alliance, we gave the board a heads up a few months ago around this initiative that will partner with Sharon Hill School and Academy Park High School to have high school students engaging in reading activities with students over at Sharon Hill. These are our little guys, our first and second grade students, and our own high school students will be partaking in that collaborative approach. So Reed Alliance is the umbrella. They will be providing the support, the framework, the networking, and all of that. They will be supporting and training our student readers to work with our students over at Sharon Hill. This is our pilot year upon approval. It's a perfect kind of entity where we have our high school and our elementary school on the same campus for logistical purposes. As upon a successful completion of our pilot year, we obviously would like to embark on ensuring that this program can be offered to all of our district elementary schools.
Thank you for clarification.
Sure.
I kind of knew that's what it was, but now that I know, thank you for clarification.
Absolutely, it's exciting. It's an exciting new kind of initiative. Thank you to Reed Alliance and Dr. Sanchez for bringing this idea to us so we can get through.
But I do have a question.
Sure.
Is there are certain grade levels at the high school is going to teach the elementary school?
Great question. I don't think so much grade levels, but age. Age would be the quantifier. Dr. Sanchez, is it 16 or 17?
We believe it's going to be 16 and over that would be qualified to be able to do this work. The high school students, by the way, will get paid for the work that they're doing, and this potentially can also help count towards their Act 58. Additionally, this helps create our own pool of future educators. The goal
Right.
is to have kids that look like our kids consider
Right.
coming back to be teachers in the district.
Right. Okay, so I think this is a great idea, but is the high school only teaching Sharon Hill School?
As of for the first part of the pilot this year, we're starting with the high school in Sharon Hill. We want to, just like we did with many other different pilots that we've had in the district, we want to make sure that it's workable and then scale it out once we have the kinks worked out within this campus here. Having both schools literally across from a parking lot makes it ideal to try it, make it work, fix the bumps, and then scale it out upon successful year 1 implementation.
Okay, so in other words, that once it's successful, you're going to spread it out to other elementary schools, which I think is an excellent idea. I kind of knew what number 9 was, but I just wanted to clarify and be sure, and I thank you for that.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much,
Coach.
Dr. Lowry.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask now Mr. Butler to present the finance items.
Good evening, everyone. There are 6 items under the finance part of the agenda. Item number 1 is approval of a settlement agreement for a tax appeal, property located at 500 Kaiser Drive. The second one is the same. This is the tax assessment appeal settlement agreement for the property at 1354 Hook Road. Item number 3 is to approve the Board of Directors to attend the Advocacy and Equity Institute in Washington, D.C., February 2nd through the 5th, 2025. Attendees to be determined. Item 4 is approval for the Board of Directors to attend the NSBA, which is the National School Board Association, 2025 Annual Conference and Exposition in Atlanta, Georgia, April 4th through the 6th, 2025. Again, attendees to be determined. Moving to item 5, this is approval of professional service agreement with Think Good Coaching and Consulting to provide district-level leaders with 9 individual coaching sessions and 3 cohort district leaders with 6 months of leadership coaching at an amount not to exceed $23,900. The funding source is the general fund. And the last is item 6. This is approval of a professional service agreement with the Collingdale Fire Company, Station 33, to provide EMS services with 2 certified PA State emergency medical technicians at athletic events during the 24-25 school year at a rate as listed. That concludes my report.
Mr. Butler, I would like to ask the board members, does any board member know if they want to attend the Advocacy and Equity Institute in Washington, D.C. at this time?
I do.
One.
I would like to as well.
I'm sorry. I have Ms. McGowan, who else?
Ms. Barley.
And Ms.
Ms. Ba-
Barley. So can we have?
I want to ask the question, when is the latest date that we can confirm that we are going to go?
Well, the earlier the better for pricing
Okay,
reasons.
but- Okay, I
So-
understand that, but,
So what I would ask is if you can check your calendars and let us know before our next board meeting.
but there's no end date, because I just want to know for certain reasons.
So,
I can look up what the early bird registration dates are, and
well,
I'm
it's
not.
open already. Early bird is already open.
It's already in?
Is the 30th
It starts
of
tomorrow.
January?
No, this,
Ends tomorrow. Early bird discount for DC ends tomorrow.
it ends tomorrow.
It ends tomorrow?
Early bird.
It ends tomorrow, you saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I guess I'm not going.
So at this,
Make a comment that may help Ms. Woodfolk make her decision.
okay, go ahead.
So, per policy, you can only attend 2 conferences per school year. So, if you recently went to the CUBE conference, you can choose to go to DC or Atlanta. You cannot go to both per policy. You only get 2 a year. If you did not go to CUBE, you can go to both DC and Atlanta.
Okay, I didn't hear that. She said. you
So she
go
said,
one to another.
per policy, board members are allowed to attend 2 conferences per year, meaning per academic year,
Typically 2 out of state per year.
2 out of
So,
state.
in other words, we could go to the Institute in Washington and to NSBA.
If you did not go to the CUBE conference.
Right, so we could pick the 2 from February, April, and
No.
September?
No.
Okay, I'm confused.
So if you went to the CUBE conference last month, you are only permitted to go to 1 more conference.
So that's between,
No, they have multiple conferences for board members. You're only allowed, per our policy, to attend 2 conferences per year. So for instance, I went to CUBE conference, so now I only have 1 more conference I'm permitted to attend. So I don't plan on going to Equity, and I probably don't plan on going to NSBA either, because there's another conference I would like to attend.
but you said per year.
Correct.
This is not per year.
Per school year, we're in the 24-25 school year.
Okay.
We've already attended, well, I've already attended one.
Okay, so if we decide to go to both, then
You
we
can't.
can't go to the one in
If you went to CUBE,
September?
if you went to the one that was last month, you only have 1 more conference you can attend.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone plan, so we have the 3, Mr. Butler, do you have those names?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. And board members, you do have a little bit more time for the NSBA 2025 Annual Conference, that's in April. I will send out the early bird deadline, because that is the most cost-effective for the district, to let you know, and I think that's by the end of next month. So we still have time to think about it. Are there any questions? Thank you, Mr. Butler.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Woolley, If you can please come to the front and share our HR agenda items.
Good evening, audience, and good evening, board members. I am here to review items on starting with page number 3. We have one termination of a security employee.
Ms. Pulley, if you can please move the mic closer to you.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me now?
No.
We're good. Okay, so I'm here to present, starting with page number 3 for Human Resources. We want to ratify the termination of a security employee, and we have filled that position already. Number 2, we want to ratify the resignations of 4 classified employees listed on page 3 into top of page 4. Then we want to ratify the employment of the following professional employees. We hired 12 of them, from a social studies science teacher, social worker, special ed teacher, art teacher, school counselors, another special ed teacher. We finally have a school librarian at Harris, a couple of counselors on there, other special ed teachers, and more counselors. So 12 SDEA professionals were hired. We also want to ratify the employment of classified employees. We have at least 6 classified employees that we hired. And from page 6 through 7, we have change of assignments for 3 professional employees listed there. We're asking to approve leave of absences for 2 professional employees. Number 10, approve the following teachers for the 21st Century After School Program. The names are listed there. Number 11, approve the MOU with the Federation to include the Manager of Television Services position as one of the IT positions. Number 12, approve the MOU with SDEA to convert the Assistant Athletic Director position to a full-time position. Number 13, approve the MOU with SDEA to create the temporary administrator assignment to fill role on as needed basis. Then over to page 8, approve the creation of 8 communication crude stipend positions. Number 12, approve the MOU between the SD Education Association and the Southeast Delco Board of School Directors for teaching classes during preparation periods and/or duties.
Is that number 15?
That's number
Yeah.
15.
Okay.
Number 16, approve the attached supplemental contracts for the 2024-25 school year, and the supporting documentation is attached. Any questions?
I'm sorry, but yes, I do have one for 15. I'm a little confused. It says to approve the MOU between the Southeast Delco Education Association and the Southeast Delco Board of School Directors for teaching classes during preparation periods and/or duties.
So in 2021, 22, I believe there was, or 22, 23, there was a need for a special MOU to be able to pay teachers to not only, so we have in part of the CBA a way to pay teachers when they're covering classes, when another teacher is out. But when we are so short and there's a greater need beyond just covering class, there's a need to write lesson plans, to grade, and to be able to put the information into PowerSchool, in addition to covering classes. So those additional duties are not covered in the CBA. So this is a special agreement when we have hard-to-fill positions that we don't want kids to go without being taught the content because we can't fill the position. So math, for example, Spanish, for example, science, for example, are really hard to fill. And even though we are hitting it out of the ballpark with most of our positions, there are 2 science positions that just became vacant. And instead of having kids doing meaningless work, we want to have someone who's competent to write lesson plans, so somebody else can deliver them, and then that person gets to work, they grade it, and they're responsible for putting it on PowerSchool, above and beyond all the other work they do. So this was an agreement that was already approved within the board and SDEA 2 years ago, and we pulled it out as a solution. Specifically, we have, because of the need that we have at the high school with science. We just lost 2 teachers.
Okay, I mean, excellent. I agree with what you're saying, but am I reading this wrong? I mean, it says the MOU between the Southeast Delco Education Association and the Southeast Delco Board of School Directors for teaching classes?
So, let me just put a little clarity. So, the agreement they have the contract, 'cause it's not agreement, the contract they currently have does not have in it that if we fall short of an educator in certain positions, as Dr. Sanchez has just stated.
Right.
So some individuals are doing this to help support our students in other classes. So
Right.
not only are they doing their lesson planning, their grading, they're entering their grades into to PowerSchool.
Right.
They're also doing someone else's job because we don't have an educator in that position currently.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does
So,
make s- go
so
ahead.
they have, so as I was saying, was their agreement has to be with the board, and it
For
has to be with
other
the,
teachers.
it has to be with the
Okay,
board
got
and their
you.
union.
Okay.
Oh,
'Cause
that
I-
makes sense now.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense now, because I thought the board was going to be responsible.
Oh, no, I'm not writing no one else's lesson plans, I write my own.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Ms.
Because
Perry?
it said the board of school directors
Yeah,
for
hold on one
teaching
second, Ms. Perry.
classes.
Oh, no, we're not teaching any.
Okay,
I'm
all
not.
right, okay.
I mean, if you'd like to come teach a class, please let us know.
No, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Perry?
I have questions about 14 and 16. I'd like to ask about 16 first because I feel that's more for Ms. Woolley, and my questions for 14 would probably be more for Dr. Sanchez.
Okay, go ahead.
For the supplementals, has anyone been hired for the Academy Park team for Delco High Q? Because the season starts December 5th. And how far away are we from hiring a stage crew director for the district musical?
I will have to get the information for her on my computer. I don't have it to answer right now.
Can't hear her.
She says she will get the information to you, it's on her computer.
Can you repeat the question, please?
The question was, high Q, are we close to hiring someone for high Q?
It starts December 5th.
And it starts December 5th. And the other question was stage crew director, where are we at in the hiring process?
So we hired someone
No,
for,
Where are we at in the hiring process?
okay,
Right.
for high Q,
For high Q and
Okay.
the stage crew director.
the food director?
Stage
for the-
crew.
For the play, for the, anything.
Okay, I got you.
So I have to get the information. I don't have that in front of me, so I do know we did have applicants, and they are interviewing, so I can find out who was actually selected.
So she said they are interviewing and see who was selected. And she'll get that information to you, to us.
Thank you. Okay, so then my questions for 14 are kind of more of like a suggestion. So I see that this is a $100 monthly stipend for 8 different employees. And I mean, yes, I'm excited to see our website, our social media and everything have more on it. But I would like next year to maybe spend these funds on student programming instead, like a social media / newspaper club for every middle school and at the high school. We're already paying photographers. We're already paying a social media company. And if we're going to spend money to pay staff to submit pictures and stuff, I think I'd be a lot happier if it was staff teaching kids in an after-school club to do these things.
So,
Newspaper, yearbook, social media, is that something we can look into for next year?
So, Ms. Perry, we do have a yearbook at the Academy Park, and we do have a newspaper, but this is not what this position is all about. So Dr. Sanchez is going to explain it to you.
But wait a minute, before he explains, I'd
what
like
the
to know
stipend
what
is
was the
about.
question.
I understand that. I just think that I'd rather pay those teachers to run an after-school club where they work together with the students to do all of these things.
So that's not what this is about.
So we've given that opportunity. We're going to figure out how we encourage the teachers to take up that opportunity. The extracurricular initiative was rolled out. It was rolled out at the same time that we found out about the 21st Century Grant, so it did pull away some of the interest. However, there's still a pool of teachers that we can figure out how we encourage them to consider starting those clubs, and we have funds set aside that would allow for those clubs to happen. The role of the communications crew is much more than providing pictures. There'll be key individuals to help make sure that the website is maintained current. Right now, that is a challenge with our system because it's so clunky and difficult. People are afraid to touch it. So the individuals will have a responsibility with the website. They also will have a responsibility with Class Dojo, again, making sure that there is better communication to parents and families. They will kind of become almost like a communication guru in the building. They will be providing trainings for their peers, something that's often better received when it's a peer instead of, whether it's a consultant that comes from the outside. So it's more than providing pictures, it's making sure we have content and then other people are using our communication channels. Your other idea is also an excellent one. And if this conversation sparks a teacher to say, I would like to create an after-school club for social media, by all means, they should be reaching out to either Mrs. Woolley or Dr. Lowry, and we can figure out how we can make those clubs happen.
So, wait a minute, is she, I'm not understanding the question. Is she asking for the teachers to engage in pictures? I mean, explain it to me, because I'm confused.
I think the request or the suggestion was that instead of paying teachers to work in isolation with the communications, that we figure out a way to encourage them to partner and motivate and work with kids in an after-school club.
Right.
And we can do both. We need to do both. There is an important need for content to be created and for our website, social media to be made current, for our calendars to be, to list all the wonderful things that are happening that really our families sometimes
Right.
don't know and our community don't hear about till after the fact. That's the communication crew. The other piece is, the teachers have relationships with our kids. Can we use that enthusiasm, pay
Right.
teachers to work with kids after school?
Right.
And the answer is yes to both.
Okay.
Ms.
Thank you.
McGowan?
Thank you. My question is, I see that there's 8 positions. How are they dispersed amongst the schools so that we have an even distribution?
So there will be one for each of the 1st through 8th grade buildings, one for the kindergarten center, one for Academy Park, one for Knight Academy, and one for the bus depot. Another group of individuals that do great work. They're a little bit in isolation on the island because they're by themselves, but we need to also, it's a way to be able to promote, retain, celebrate the staff and the work that they're doing there.
So I just want to, just so that I'm clear, that this number 14, at the communication crew, this is information coming from schools so that parents and students are better informed about what's going on in their buildings on a daily basis. Is that what you're trying to say, what you're saying, Dr. Sanchez?
Absolutely.
Because I know a lot of parents come to our meetings and say they didn't know about this program or they didn't know about this event that was happening. And so if you have a centralized person in each building in our district to make sure that this information is filtered into our social media and or our website, then parents have more options to find out this information about their buildings that their students are in every single day for 8 hours.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I also wanted to ask, is Class Dojo going to be available for high school? Is that what we're doing?
So I believe it's available now. I'm not sure what the level of use is for Class Dojo. So to be determined, the new website is going to provide us with yet another mechanism to be able to communicate out whole messages or district messages or building messages. So I can look into what the layout, what Academy Park is using for the mass communication.
So right now, I can tell you right now, as a parent, I know I'm not receiving mass communications other than emails or Global Connects. So if there is an actual hub, like Class Dojo, or an app, or an information
I think they
center?
use Google Classroom, unfortunately. I'm only saying that because that's how I get information for my 12th grader, through group.
But that's sporadic, and
I
it's
understand.
not connected.
It's not connecting, no.
So again, lots of new efforts to be able to improve communication, including the background noise here. Our new website is going to launch January 2025. It's the vendor is Aptigee. What they're known for is their app. So one of the things that we will have with this new website is an app, that when we post to the website, it will push. Now, you have to buy in free and download the app, but there'll be a Night Nation, Blue Knights type of app that you can put on your phone to be able to get mass notifications.
Will this allow me to get notifications across multiple schools, or just the school that my child is registered in?
When you download the app, you have control of what schools you get the information from.
Any more questions?
Yes, I have a question about the MOU for number 15. I'm not sure if Dr. Sanchez, you would answer this, or Ms. Woolley. You were talking about the science classes and, the teacher that is putting the work in, through Power School, are they necessarily the teacher that's teaching the kids that class?
Not necessarily, but the teacher that, so in this situation for the one class, for example, that teacher is creating the lessons, is teaching on 2 days because they're available on 2 days, and they would be the teacher that puts the data in at the end. But they won't necessarily be the teacher that's always instructing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I have some non-voting items that I just want to bring to everybody's attention. So October 30th was our selfie picture in pink day. We asked all employees to wear pink for the day for breast cancer awareness. We even made it more fun where we did like a raffle and we gave away prizes just to get the awareness out there. And we had a mass participation throughout the district where we had people submit them wearing their pink ribbons and pink wear just to be aware that breast cancer is a serious thing. And so we asked them to submit a picture of them wearing pink or the ribbon, and then they were included in a raffle. And we had 4 winners from that day. We even made a social media post with the pictures that the teachers and all of the other employees submitted throughout that day, just to make everybody aware, because 1 out of 9 women are diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And we just want everybody to make sure you're getting your mammograms and just being aware. In addition to that, we, Human
Excuse me, Ms.
Resources.
Woolley?
Excuse me?
And men as well.
And men as well, because November, this month, is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and we're asking all of our males to make sure that you are screened too and tested to be aware that it exists as well in the male population as well. Today, the Human Resources team attended a job fair, educational job fair at Kutztown University. And it was a big turnout of the students and some of the community members that attended. And one thing we wanted to highlight our table. I'm sorry I don't have digital pictures, but we set up our table with the Sudelco lights and our logo. And then we put out a Why Southeast Delco School District, just saying teachers make the world a better place. And it was just some highlights of our district in a pamphlet. And this went pretty fast. We made 200 copies, and it went probably within the first 20 minutes off the table. So just trying to get, an awareness about our district out there. In addition to that, we're going to be having a job fair at Darby Township on Tuesday, November the 26th from 4 to 6 in the gym. We're going to have things like resume review, so people can bring out their resumes, and we're going to be taking a look at it and say, this is what you can fix, this is what you can add, or it's just perfect. At the same time, we're going to have computers there so that the community and parents can come in and apply for jobs online. We're going to have raffles, giveaway. It's just going to be a good way to get awareness out about our open positions. Okay? So if you can, pick up a flyer on the back table, pass it out in your communities. If you have a small business, please think about putting the station up to advertise our jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woolley.
Mr. Woolley, if I could just say, kudos to you. You're doing an excellent job in the position that you're holding. There's so many things that we're hearing about that your HR department is doing that is for the betterment of our district. And I just would like to say to you, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And don't
Thank
leave.
you.
Thank you. There was a concern that came across myself, the president's, vice president, and the superintendent's desk. Board representation. Ms. Perry, would you like to elaborate on that one?
Yes. Currently, all 9 of our board members are elected at large, and I would like the board to request our solicitor to develop a plan to elect our school directors by region instead. And if PA school code and law would allow, I would suggest that we set it up where each municipality elects 2 board members, because we have 4 municipalities, and that would give us 8, and then we have 1 school director at large. Right now, our communities are not equally represented. Fulcroft has 0 board members.
I would like to make a comment on that, Ms. Perry.
Wait a minute, before you make a comment, I'm trying to get an understanding, was she?
He wants 2 board members from every municipality that we have. And 1 at large.
Okay.
As far as Fallcroft is concerned, there has been we have reached out to Fallcroft through some of the politicians in Fallcroft for someone for one of their constituents to become a member or to apply for the position on the board. No one replied when he put it out. No one wanted to be involved on the board. So it's not something that we are deliberately not taking them into consideration, because they are taken into consideration. But if you have a borough that no one wants to be involved in the board, then what can you do? So I think for you to make that type of stipulation, I think that's stretching it a little bit as far as having 2 from each.
I wasn't accusing anyone of not letting anyone from Fulcroft run or anything like that. But so for example, if I wanted to rerun for the board and I was elected by region, I would only have to campaign in Collingdale. So I was thinking it may encourage people from Fulcroft to want to get involved if they only have to campaign in their local community. Because we can't end up in a situation where one municipality has a majority of the board. It's really not fair to the residents in Sharon Hill Borough, in Collingdale Borough. It should be equally distributed. Now, it is possible that the school code or Pennsylvania law may have to take population into account. So it is possible that once our solicitor looks into it, it's determined that one municipality gets 3 and one municipality gets 2. Because, for example, Sharon Hill is tiny compared to Collingdale and Darby Township. So I just think that this is something that we should request our solicitor to do. I think it would be easier to push Fallcroft to have people run for the school board, and I think it would be more fair to the rest of the residents in the community to have equal representation for their communities on the school board.
Is there any other comment?
Are you saying that each borough, if you're running from Darby Township, then I only have to campaign in Darby Township for the position on the board? So that means that the other 4 boroughs would not vote on me?
Correct.
If you ran at each and not the one at large, yes, correct. You would only have to
That's
get
not
votes
true.
in Darby Township.
No, I do like to,
Please use your mic.
I did.
Please get closer. Thank you.
When I'm on this board, and I'm from Darby Township, I am representing all of the counties. Boroughs. I am representing all. It doesn't have to be that one board member has to represent each county. I'm sorry, borough, but I am representing, when I go to the schools, and I'm representing all of the students, no matter where they are from. So just because we can't find anyone that want to run in Fallcroft, doesn't mean that we are ignoring Fallcroft. I think that for you to say something like that, you're making people think that we are not representing Fallcroft. We are representing all of the boroughs, all of them. And, well, let me speak for myself. I am. I'm representing all of the boroughs. So we can, I mean, for you, I don't know what you're trying to say, or are you saying that we should ask somebody from Fallcroft to run to represent Fallcroft? But, I mean, they know when we are running, if they don't want to run, I mean, what is it that we can do?
So I think that part of what needs to happen is that if we move to have municipalities, meaning you're represented by your town, that causes you to stay active in your community, and it also reflects your community on the board. No one is saying that Fallcroft is not being invited to it, and that you're not representing them, but there should be a representative from Fallcroft who is a taxpayer in Fallcroft. There should be one from Sharon Hill, from each of the boroughs, to make it equitable across the board. No one is any way is saying that the board is doing something bad. It's more to make it equitable across the district.
I mean, I
So,
understand.
then I have a question.
What you're saying, that, what you're saying to me is that just because it's no one from Fallcroft is on this board, it should be a representative from Fallcroft on this board. So you're trying to make some of us look bad because I'm representing all the boroughs.
No one is trying to make
Well, wait a
anyone
minute,
look
wait,
bad.
I'm not finished, because to me, what you're saying is that if nobody wants to run from Fallcroft, because we never had anybody from Fallcroft other than the person that ran last year or 2 years ago, and she only stayed for a year. So, excuse me, how long did she stay?
She's here for a full time.
I'm talking about Amy.
I think she's talking about Mrs.
Yeah,
Washington.
she didn't stay for a full term.
But Dr. Jack was also.
No, she did not stay for a full term.
And when we had applications for
She was
vacancies, we had
appointed,
several
but my
applications
question,
from
my thing is, we are saying that it should be somebody running or somebody on this board to represent each borough. It doesn't matter, because although I'm from Darby Township, doesn't mean I'm just supporting Darby Township. I'm supporting for all of the boroughs. So if nobody doesn't want to run in Fallcroft, okay, so we just keep moving on and just represent Fallcroft, no
Thank you.
matter where we are from.
So thank you.
I'm sorry, can I speak?
Yeah, go
Madam
ahead.
President? I think it's more about community representation. So like, there's a lot of events in the community and a lot of events that Fallcroft particularly has that board members should be at, and board members should be able to bring those events to Fallcroft and reverse from the board. I think that's what she's saying, the community events. And we know you support everybody, Cynthia. We're all here supporting the
Right,
kids.
everybody.
Yes. But I think we're community liaisons, right?
Okay.
So we have to be able to bring those community pieces from Fallcroft to our board.
Okay.
And when we don't have that representation,
Right.
sometimes we miss that community piece.
Okay.
Right? And then also too, upcoming, people haven't wanted to run in the past in Fallcroft. I mean, that's been the norm. Maybe somebody will step up this year. Maybe somebody will step up in 5 years. We don't know that. We can't predict that from now. So to say that nobody is going to run, we don't know that yet.
Wait a minute.
So my
That-
question-
that is not true, because even we had somebody that was appointed, and Ms. Teresa Harris Johnson said that finally we had somebody from Fallcroft.
We had two. We had Dr. Jacks.
Yes.
And we had
Right.
Mrs. Amy
But
Washington.
nobody else before that wanted to run for Fallcroft. But, okay, if that's the way you feel, are you willing to step down and bring somebody from Fallcroft?
That's not what we're saying. What we're saying.
But, I mean, I don't understand what you're saying.
So I
is
just want to get a point of
you need
clarity.
Somebody that's representing Fallcroft.
Ms. Woodfolk, can I just get a point of
No,
clarity?
you can't.
What?
But I'm asking
Ms.
you,
Falk.
so if you're willing to, if you're saying that somebody needs to represent Fallcroft, are you guys willing to step down to have somebody represent Fallcroft?
Again, no one is talking about anyone stepping down to have representation. What we're saying is to put it onto to create the policy to where we allow the municipalities.
But
And then,
it's not like we cut anything off. It's everybody's choice whether they want to run for the board, what borough they are from.
okay, so.
So
wait,
if
hello.
nobody from Fallcroft Borough is running,
Ms.
so what do you expect for us to do?
Miss,
We
Miss-
still
hello,
represent
can I
all
speak for a minute?
boroughs.
Can I speak for a minute?
No, I'm not finished.
Ms. Woodfolk, I have a question.
Okay, but I'm still not finished.
Go ahead, Ms. Woodfolk.
Because I just don't understand. To me, the question is really, to me, it's just crazy.
I'm trying to understand the question as well.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So what I'm asking for clarification, you're asking that the board consider that every municipality that's underneath Southeast Delco School District, they have 2 representatives and then have 1 at large. Is that what you're asking the board to consider? Okay, and so when you consider that, and when you consider that, and nobody runs, and then that municipality has a empty seat, 2 empty seats, who fills those 2 seats?
So you would go through the vacancy process just like we do now. So what would need to happen is we would need to pass a vote to ask our solicitor to develop a plan to petition the Court of Common Pleas for Delaware County to allow us to switch 8 of our seats. This isn't talking about our seats right now. This is talking about future elections. So we would have our solicitor develop a plan and submit it to the county so that in future elections, Collingdale would elect 2 people, Fallcroft would elect 2 people,
It doesn't
Sharon Hill
work
would
that
elect
way.
2 people, Darby Ivy Township would elect 2 people.
done.
And the entire district would elect lovely people like Cynthia at large that want to represent everybody.
So again, the question I have is this a suggestion for the board to consider?
I'm asking for a vote for next week to ask our solicitor to move forward with a plan to petition the Court of...
So the question I have is every board member in agreement with what Ms. Perry just said in order for us to vote
Well,
on it?
I'll tell you what, we got for, election next year. So if you feel as though.
What I'm asking is,
What?
is there gonna be further discussion, or do you want this on the agenda as a voting option?
I want it on the agenda as a voting option for
Before,
the latest next month.
so before the solicitor can do his due diligence, that's what you're asking?
No, it's not gonna happen. because
Ms.
we need
Woodfolk,
to-
please give me a moment. I'm asking Ms. Perry a question. So do you want the solicitor?
The vote would only be to give the solicitor permission to move forward with developing the plan for the petition.
No.
That's what the vote
Okay,
would be.
so, Mr. Butler, did you get that wording?
I have it.
Okay, thank you. So now we can move forward. So Ms. Woodfolk, so Ms. Perry is asking that we put this on the agenda for next month to allow the solicitor to form a plan to have 2 members of each borough be represented on the school board in future elections and have 1 at large.
I don't agree with it.
Oh, okay,
And
so
wait a minute,
next
I'm not
month, so-
finished yet. I don't agree with it, and I think the board needs to talk about it further. And not only that, it's been like this for years. So it bothers me that you want 2 representatives for each county, to represent the county that we live in.
Can
It
someone
doesn't matter. We all represent all of the boroughs. So I'm baffled with this. So no, I don't agree with it. I think that the board should talk about it further.
Okay, so Ms. Woodfolk, excuse me, Ms. Perry. So Ms. Woodfolk, next week is going to be an agenda item. So
No, it shouldn't be on agenda item.
so you're saying you don't want it on agenda
It should be where
item?
the board talks about it.
So you want more conversation?
Absolutely.
So moving forward, so Mr. Bob,
Yes.
can you please see if this is even permissible by Pennsylvania School Code and
Pennsylvania School Code 303 subsection B.
oh, there you go.
Before he look for anything, the board
Excuse me, one
should-
second,
should
Mr.
dis- No, I'm not being quiet.
But you just cut off Mr. Bob. He was trying to speak, Ms. Woodfolk. I'm sorry, Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Madam President. It is permissible. I spoke with Bob Diorio about this in advance of the meeting because I knew this was going to be addressed, and it would have to be done by petition. So before Bob Diorio's solicitor could do anything, the board would have to agree what it is you want him to petition the court to do. And we are at large at this time, but it can be at large, it can be
That's crazy.
It can be regional, or it can be a combination of both. And what I understand Ms. Perry would be indicating would be a combination of both, where each borough has 2 representatives plus 1 at large. That is possible, but the board would first have to agree by majority vote for your solicitor to petition the court to do that.
So once again, thank you, Mr. Bob.
You're welcome.
The board by majority vote will have to agree upon at-large, and it's a combination
But
of,
didn't we talk about it before?
Regional
Because this
and
is
at-large.
something that she just put to
Combination,
the
yes.
table.
okay, we can talk about it at-large. I mean, you're talking, does anybody else have anything else to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Go ahead, Ms. McGowan.
One of the things that, I would like to say a couple things. In order for this to be a discussion, other voices have to be allowed to be heard. And it can't be that we're shutting down and not listening to the other voices because we're sticking to one idea. We have to be open to other possibilities. No one is going to be discrediting anyone's involvement here. That is not what any of this is about. This is just simply about representation for all the communities, period. Now, when it comes to this is the way that it's always been, we need to be an agile school board, a school district. We cannot stick with, we've always done it this way. That's not necessarily the best way to do things. And the other way to get people to want to join and be a part of this is to be an open and communicative school board who works together. Nobody's going to want to, no one is going to want to come if they're going to know that they're going to be dealing with headaches all day long, constant fighting, none of that. But we all know many different people in many different communities, and we can reach out to those people who we see that are very active in the community and invite them in. We don't have representatives from Fallcroft, well then we need to be nurturing relationships with Fallcroft residents to bring them in so that they are running. And when it comes to, we're not the only school district that would be considering this. Interborough does it, Upper Darby does. This is not a new system. And it's not a broken system. It is a well-known system. So this isn't something that's going to be radical to our district. It's going to simply allow for equal representation for everyone. That's all.
But what bothers me is you are saying to our boroughs that we are looking for somebody from Fallcroft to represent their boroughs, as if we're not doing it already.
Not one of us lives in Fallcroft.
I'm not finished talking.
Well, I wasn't finished talking, but you talk.
I'm not finished talking.
But you talk over everyone.
But I'm saying
Cynthia.
to you that.
So we can only have one person talking at a time.
Right, and I was talking. So I just don't understand how you are, all of a sudden, somebody's going to say, well, we're going to have somebody from Fallcroft to represent Fallcroft. I mean, do you not know that we all represent all boroughs? What is the difference?
That was never in question. No one said that we're not representing the other areas. However, we don't live in Fallcroft. We don't. We don't pay taxes in Fallcroft. We don't live in Fallcroft.
But we are still all in one.
Cynthia, I'm talking.
Go ahead and talk.
So now, because we all represent our communities, we have the unique perspective of our community. Not one is discounting that I come from Darby Township, but I live in Sharon Hill. I have experiences from both, but I don't live in Fallcroft.
Okay.
I'm not a resident of Fallcroft. Not to say that I don't care about Fallcroft or what's going on in their community, but we should have someone from Fallcroft working with the board.
Okay.
It is just that simple, and we can foster those types of relationships now so that in advance of an election, we're able to get that going. I can tell you right now, as someone who when I went to go and run, I was completely unaware of how I was supposed to do this. There was nothing, there was nowhere to go. It wasn't like I could turn around and say, you're my Sharon Hill rep, how did you get on the board, anything like that. I had no one to go to for that. You should have that. We should have that set up where if I'm the Sharon Hill rep and I know I'm on my way out, I'm going to be trying to work on finding someone from Sharon Hill to get on in and bring them into the fold. It's not to discount anything that any of these members have done. And you, Cynthia, definitely represent the district. No one is discounting that at all. That is not what we're talking about. We're just talking about making the system even for everyone.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. When I'm out there and I go to these schools, I don't ask any of those kids, what borough are you from, okay? And I go to these kids and I talk to them, I have lunch with them, I joke with them, I do whatever it needs to be done. This is the first time I ever heard that somebody should represent each borough. But because I thought that all of us, that all 9 of us was representing everyone. It doesn't matter if 2 is from here and 4 is from there. We all get together and we all represent everyone. But like I said, Madam President, I think the board should talk about it more before you even put that on the agenda.
Question. Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, Madam President.
Go ahead, Ms. Perry.
So the last time we had a vacancy on the board, just out of the people who supplied their addresses to us, 7 of the applications for the board vacancies came from Fallcroft. Also, if you ask older residents that have lived here since or before the 1980s, they were all under the impression that when the school districts merged, which it was like 86 or 87, that all the communities would be equally represented. And now they're not. So I'm just trying to get to that point, because here's the other thing. The north side of Darby Township's not even represented.
So why don't we
I know
make
that
it
Darby Township
easier?
is not
Why
your
don't
fault
y'all
with the
step
map
down and
population
bring somebody from
basis,
Fallcroft?
But I'm still talking.
So,
north
so
side
what
of Darby
you gonna
Township has
accept,
0 reps.
just ask someone? I'm just done. You know what, I'm not, no, I am not going, I don't want it on the agenda
Okay,
until
I
the
hear your
whole
point.
board talks about it.
I hear your whole point, but please do not interrupt. Ms. Perry, please
We're
continue.
also welcome to have additional discussion when it's on the agenda next week. And if we get to that point and we still need to have more discussion, it would just require a vote to table it. And Cynthia, to your point of wanting to support the whole community, you would be a perfect candidate to run for an at-large position. And listen, this isn't something that we're gonna snap our fingers and the solicitor's gonna fix it by January. This most likely will not even affect next year's election. But I want to make sure for the future of the district that we are being equitable and that every community is represented on the school board.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. So we're going to move forward in this,
Please.
and what's your name? Dr. Sanchez.
Yes, Madam President.
Next agenda item, please.
So we don't have any items for property, and we do have some, I'm sorry, for policy. No, that was policy. We don't have any agenda items for property, and we do have some non-agenda items for safety. Mr. Rosnoff?
I know, I thought I said I was going to make you first next time, Mr. Rosnoff. I said I was going to make you first last time. I'm so sorry, I forgot. Next time.
Alrighty then. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, I just have a couple things to go through. Some just active projects. So last week, we started replacing some cameras at some of the schools. It was from 11-4 to 11-11. Delcroft, we replaced 10. Darby, 7. Harris, 3. Sharon Hill, 9. For the administration building,
Mr.
we-
Rosnoff,
Yes,
you mean Darby Township?
yes,
Okay.
sorry,
You said Darby.
sorry.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. For the administration building, we isolated some of our cameras there to check the network to make sure everything was running properly, just because we've had some issues with freezing and some other issues with the cameras throughout the district, just to check the network. That was up until the 8th, which is last week. We will get the information from AES regarding what their findings were from the administration building, so then we can go to each of the other schools and do the same tests. And that test will continue to go forward until we have every school figured out as to what any of the latency issues are. For training, we will be doing threat assessment training, possibly in January or February. That's a continuation of for the crisis response team training that we did at the end of the school year last year. And also with staffing, we have all shifts filled except for the evening shift, which we are currently interviewing for. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosnoff.
Dr. Sanchez, do you have any comments from the community?
We do. We have a comment from Felix and Tamika Ortiz. If you can join us, if you want to come up to the mic, please.
All you need to provide is your name, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members. If I get tongue-tied, please charge it to my exhaustion from just working. I had a question for Dr. Sanchez and the rest of the board members. I have a son who is out of district, but from Southeast Delco. We also have 2 more children that are in Sudelco. And I was concerned about the incoming administration and the proposal of dismantling the Department of Education. Even though it hasn't been successful in the past, it could well be a reality in the next 5 years. What does that look like, and is something being discussed or put in place in case our special education students are not being served?
Thank you very much for posing the question and for bringing to light some of the concerns that some parents are feeling as a result of the election. Please know that we still don't have any details related to the potential plan of dismantling what would probably be the U.S. Department of Education, not necessarily the state departments of education.
Not the state, no.
So we don't have the details yet, but I do have faith that whatever government is in place, that they will think through about the impact and how will the local school districts at the state levels be able to continue the work, whether it's regular education or special education. So we are keeping a very close eye on this. This is something that every superintendent's got, on the front of their minds as to what will happen if the U.S. Department of Education is closed. How will that impact the rest of us? So I stay very well connected via our intermediate unit. Okay. They bring together all the superintendents. We are coming together in about a week, and that is going to be most probably one of the agenda items. My cabinet, as well as just keeping close eyes with what PDE, what Pennsylvania Department of Education is putting out, and what everybody else is hearing in news. At this time, we don't know. We are hearing firsthand, like you are, in the news. We shall see what happens, but it is something that we are keeping a close eye on.
Okay, and hopefully something will come about that meeting. Thank you, Dr. Sanchez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sanchez, any more comments from concerned citizens?
There are no more comments, Madam President.
Upcoming events and meetings of the school board directors. Thursday, November 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. will be the board business meeting. Monday, December 2nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. will be the school board directors reorganization meeting. And Thursday, December 19th, 2024 at 7 p.m. will be the school board business meeting. Seeing no further business tonight, Dr. Sanchez?
That is correct, Madam President.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and have a great night.
Teresa, let's go.
What?
Out of here.